Blobber team has ruined Silent Hill 2 Remake. Nah, I'm kidding. They actually did a really great job with it. I haven't finished it yet, but so far, I'm loving it. As I've been playing the game, I have been checking Twitter here and there, hearing what other people are thinking about the game. And one of the things that I keep hearing about the game is that, oh, they ruined the atmosphere of the original. Oh, they changed stuff around so that now it doesn't feel like the same game, which is, it's a remake. It's not going to be the same exact game, but they did change stuff about the game. But the important thing is that they changed the atmosphere, and supposedly it's not as scary as the original. So I was like, you know what, let me boot up the original game and let's see how it is. And just playing the intro kind of made me realize what people are talking about. So let's get into it. Let's see what they changed in the game, and that's, not the obvious stuff. Obviously the graphics, the acting, the voice acting in the game is a lot better, but there are some subtle differences that were made to the game that does change the vibes of it a little bit. So let's start out with the atmosphere of the game and what they change and what feels different. Because a lot of people, when they think about the atmosphere of the Silent Hill 2 game, is they think about the fog. It's throughout the game, you're walking around, there's fog around you, and people are like, oh, that's what the atmosphere of the game is. But there are some other things that make Silent Hill 2, which they removed from the remake, which doesn't really make it a bad game or worse game. It just makes it a little bit different game. And I'm going to play out the intro for the game. The intro is pretty short for the game. I'm gonna play out both the new and the original. Let's see what they removed from the remake that makes the game feel different than the original.
Mary, could you really be in this town? Could you really be in this town?
Main difference between how these intros feel is gonna be that the original feels like a hidden camera into James's life, while the remake feels like a movie that was made about James's life. First, let's take a look at how many different shots there are on each of these intros. The original only has 3 different shots that you look into. Most of them are going to be static or even like a little bit of a Dutch angle to it, while the remake has 6 different shots. More importantly, if we examine the different camera angles that are used in the original, it has this more of a hidden camera, almost like a voyeuristic feeling to it, which kind of like parallels James's repressed, perverted emotions. While in the remake, it has this like more cinematic Hollywood style look to it, making you kind of like feel like you're watching like a feature-length movie with all like the close-ups and the camera movements on there, while the original like feels like a bootleg movie that you like found on the side of the road. Now, I really prefer the original over the remake because of those reasons, because I feel like it just has a better feeling to it, while The remake just kind of feels a little bit more generic, where it's like, okay, these are like some like professional, you know, looking shots. Obviously, the graphics are very impressive in the remake, but the feeling wise, I do prefer the vibes of the original better. Like, to me, it's kind of like, you know, it's like, imagine the original is like a $1 taco you get from like, you know, like a Mexican food cart at like 3 a.m. and you eat it, it's delicious. Maybe you're drunk or high, you know, and you really enjoy it. Well, the remake feels like you go to like a fancy restaurant and for some reason you order like a $40 taco and you eat it and it's really good, but it's like, do I really want to be spending $40 on a taco? Now, when we get to the actual gameplay, same exact thing happens, where the remake looks and feels like just a regular game, while the original maintains that voyeuristic feeling. In the remake, it's clear that you're just playing a video game, where in the original, it feels like someone is like watching you through a CCTV footage. If you look at the scene in the remake, you're just simply walking in third person, looking at the welcome sign on there, while in the original it feels like almost like a camera's watching you. It's like zooming in, barely holding focus on you. I mean, it's a way different feeling. A perfect example of this is in this scene. In the remake, you're just walking in the fog in third person. It looks great, but that's what it is. While in the original, the camera is facing backwards, creating a sense of being watched, as if like you don't know where you're going. It's not just the fog, it's just the camera angle also just like not letting you see where you're going on. Well, there's like scary noises happening in your ear. While in the original, you can see forward, you are hearing noises still in there, but still, it's not the same. A perfect example of this part is gonna be right here. In the remake, you're just walking in the woods, in the fog, you can see everything. But in the original, the camera angles take you beyond that. You're in like the woods, as if someone's like watching James inside of the woods while he like goes into the fog. It's a completely different feeling. But does this make the remake a worse game than the original? No, I think the remake is pretty much better than the original game in pretty much every single way, to be honest. The original was great for its time, but to be honest, I never finished it because it just wasn't fun to play. Now, I watched a bunch of other people play the game because of the story, and the soundtrack is amazing on the game. I even watched a bunch of people speedrun the game. I think it's a really fun game to speedrun. But the great thing about the remake is that it's both enjoyable to like actually play the game, but while you're experiencing the story, the clunky controls of the original games are gone, replaced with, you know, fun, engaging combat that still feels like a horror game, but it's also very satisfying to defeat the monsters in it. You know, when you're like killing a monster and you're like stomping them and you just hear James like viscerally scream, it's a very fun experience. I do wish that they just added some of the fixed camera angles from the original game into this game, but still, with the 3D, the modern 3D camera, it still works pretty well. But overall, the graphics, the gameplay, the acting in these cutscenes are so much better that I'll say this is like the definitive way to play the game. Now, is the remake scarier than the original? I feel like a lot of people are judging the remake unfairly. Like, they'll say like, oh, I played the original, you know, when I was a kid and it was a lot scarier. But when you played the original, you were probably like 8 years old, you know, sneaking into the living room in the middle of the night while your parents were asleep. And now you're comparing that experience to being 31 years old, playing the game in your man cave. You know, it's not the same experience. On the other hand, the original gets judged unfairly also, because a lot of the scariness from the original comes from what you can't see. While the remake shows you more of the game, you know, when you play the remake, you're playing this in like a 4K TV with like the ray tracing, with all the settings on there. While with the original, those were meant to be played on a CRT TV, where it's, you know, it's naturally a lot more blurrier, and obviously the lower textures and a lot of the voyeuristic feeling of the game, where the camera's a lot more zoomed away. You're not supposed to be able to see a lot of the game. Now, when I first booted this game up on my 4K TV, the original, not the remake, I had all the graphical enchantments on there. I was playing, 8 times, MSI and stuff, running the game at 8K resolution. And the game actually looked worse. Like, you could see it right here. Once you play this game in 8K or 4K or whatever, like, it just falls apart because you can literally see through all the fog, all the smoke and mirrors. So I went back, I lowered the resolution on the game, added scan lines to emulate the feeling of the original, and it makes it a lot better, but still, it doesn't really feel as good as, if you were to play this back in the day on original hardware on a CRT TV. Now, if you were playing both of them side by side, the new game on a 4K TV with all the, graphical ray tracing, everything on, and then you had the old game on a CRT TV with original, PlayStation 2 and everything, and it's your first time playing, which game would it be scarier? I'm gonna say that Remake. I mean, if you don't have nostalgia for the older game, I think pretty much everyone's gonna love the new remake that's made for it, especially if you have a good sound system, if you have a good pair of headphones, or if you have a surround sound system like how I've been playing the game. Dude, the game is amazing. They did an incredible job with the sound effects of this game. Like, you just hear like monsters like crawling up behind you. You hear like any time like you open a door, like if there's someone behind you, you hear them. They did a great job with the sound design, so definitely play this game with headphones or a surround sound system. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you liked this video. If you liked it, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be making more videos like this one right here. And I have some videos working on right now that talk about charms in video games, because I feel like a lot of newer games lost this original charm. So I'm going to be comparing some of the older games to newer games to see what is missing in modern gaming. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.